The financial technology sector, called Fintech in Africa, is experiencing a remarkable surge, transforming the continent's economic landscape and offering unprecedented opportunities for financial inclusion. With a young, tech-savvy population and a growing demand for accessible financial services, Africa has become a hotbed for fintech innovation. However, alongside the vast potential lie significant challenges that must be addressed to ensure sustainable growth. Industry experts and stakeholders are now focusing on tailored solutions to unlock the full promise of this booming sector. And to help us understand this better, we are joined by Olawale Bamidele, a digital tech innovator and founder of UX Thrive. Olawale, thank you so much for joining us on Business Edge.
Thank you very much, Lekon. It's good to be here. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here this morning to share thoughts.
All right. So let's start this way. How do you think that Africa's young tech-savvy population is shaping the fintech boom across the continent?
Yeah, it's really been progressing a couple of years now, and it's actually very exciting because we know the young demography of the African root is just around 25 and within 25 to 28, and this has actually been the young age, and this has actually also been one of the exciting moments for tech in terms of young Africans. We can see that it's now shaping into not just being a consumer and also being a creator. We've seen this age come into the internet space, and we know how fintech is going now. The young ones are people who are diving into it. The young ones are people who are bringing the innovation that is required for the next phase of the African technology. So it's actually a very good thing, and it's not just happening in the bigger markets. It's actually also happening in the grassroots. So people are beginning to understand the fact that fintech is here to stay, and is also not just like the traditional banking system or the traditional financial market or the traditional financial institutions that we have. Fintech has come to stay, and why it's beneficial is because this present moment we have the demography of the African people who vastly are young people, and these are the people bringing the innovations. What it means is, in long-term plan, young Africans that are rightly doing it now shows that in a couple of years to come, fintech is going to take a very strong root in the world system when it comes to financial technology.
I wonder how millennials will be, approaching or probably be reacting to this right now. But then we are going to dwell more on that and look at it from the rural perspective and penetration. But then let's look at the angle of the traditional banking system. Now, it's one of the things you mentioned. Now, we understand that, the mobile money market seems to be improving in financial services in Africa as part of what you said. But then what makes the platforms, the fintech, successful as against traditional banks in Africa?
A lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. We understand that we're in the age where people want to do things faster. We are in the age where we want to do it faster. I don't want to call it, we like the fast things, but as a matter of truth, it has what has come to stay, as what has come to happen. What are the edge that we have? First of all, documentation. We know the stages or the process of getting to even open a banking account back in the days with traditional bank. All those lapses are already gone. We know when it comes to making payments, all those lapses are already gone. We know when it comes to documentation, when it comes to user-centric, when it comes to the experience of consumer with all this, with traditional banks, all those lapses are gone. So what are we experiencing now with fintech? That's edge over traditional banks. Documentation is part of it. The process is part of it. The easy access is part of it, and generally the user experience is actually one of the fastest things. And in terms of even growing business, we know what this fintech has done much more better as the traditional banking.
But so even with all these, Olawale, of course, I'm looking at the strides that fintechs have actually achieved or recorded over the couple of years. We still see that about 350 million adults are still unbanked in Africa. That would actually speak to low penetration drive. So what are the issues with this, and how are fintech companies managing to at least reach rural and underserved communities in Africa?
There are a lot of strategies that have been deployed over the years. All this thing, especially in Africa, it has to do with the fact that there's still a lot to be done in terms of technology. There's still a lot to be done in terms of inside of cyber security, not just security, in terms of cyber security. There's still a lot to actually also do with trust. You understand? So one of the things that has actually worked and is still working is the fact that, for instance, USSD. So when you go to some environments, the rural environment that they don't have access to this type of technology, and which has given limitations to financial technology, we understand that USSD has been working and people are already adopting it. And this, as it continues to grow and as the right infrastructure is put in place to reach out to all these kind of environments, the more strides that we continue to attain in making sure that the right technology is put in those areas, the more easier it will become. But first of all, currently we have USSD code and people are actually doing it. And it has this, and to be honest, it has seamlessly been working over the years. So this will help to put down the numbers. But as a matter of truth, the right technology need to go to those environments so that they can enjoy more benefits that people in urban areas are actually enjoying.
You're talking about infrastructure here, but then, in Africa, we are still experiencing issues of power outages, poor network coverage in some areas, which seem to be complicating the delivery of digital financial services. Is there anything that the fintech groups or maybe these companies are doing to actually scale those hurdles?
To be honest, like you said, in Africa, you are still experiencing all these orders, and it's actually challenging. And with the way the system works, it's I would say it's intertwined. So it needs a lot of collaboration. The government needs to take the responsibility, and the financial technology needs to take the responsibility. This can't work without this. The truth is, there has to still be more transparency in terms of how this is going to work, because for us to scale that, for fintech to scale that order of basic things, it means that the government needs to actually do their job. So for this to happen in terms of the infrastructure part of it, three things basically. We are talking about good internet, we're talking about cyber security, we're talking about reach, which comes to electricity, power, and all those things. So definitely it has to come from both the government side or both the institution that controls all these things that we mentioned, and also the fintech side. If this is put in place, it's even going to help the economy, because it lowers the costs that all these financial technology institutions actually putting into these innovations. So it means the government needs to do its work in terms of putting this basic thing into place, and this is going to help the developers, help the skilled people, help investors, most importantly, and help innovators to do what they are supposed to do. So it's even if there are systems that want to be put in place, if these systems are being done privately, we know how this is going to affect the sales or affect the pricing of how this financial technology is going to work. So it's a job, it's a role of the government and also the role of the innovators coming together intertwinedly and being collaborative enough.
Yes, let's dwell on collaboration a bit more. I mean, you're in England. We can quickly do a comparison between what obtains in the developed countries and what we have in Africa. What has been the collaboration like? What has been the intervention of the government like? How is the adoption and the acceleration like that you think that Africa can actually learn from and imbibe, probably incorporate into our systems to accelerate the process?
The collaboration has been good in time past, especially in the last 3 to 5 years. We've seen how currency exchange has happened in terms of people sending exchanging money from different parts of the world, especially from England, US, Canada to Nigeria. We've had a lot of innovations that have come up in that place. Even though there are a lot of still, when you're trying to do such thing, there's still a lot of policies. I know you understand what I mean. Political structures. There's still a lot of inconsistency, and a lot of paperwork that goes on underground before you can get approval and all those things. But one thing that I think needs to happen more, or one thing I think the collaboration still needs to work more, is within the African zone. If you understand, it's within the African zone where you can actually do transactions without having too much hassles For instance, you can have your financial institution, the kind of currency used in Nigeria, and when you travel to any country in the African space, you can actually just, you don't need to do exchange and all those things. You understand what I mean? You can use your phone to pay and all those kind of things. So this kind of collaboration still need to happen. For instance, in Europe, if you travel from England to Spain, I will literally just use my phone to make payment when I get there. You understand? Even though Spain, spend euro, England spend pounds, I can still use my credit card to buy whatever I want to buy in those countries. So this kind of transaction still needs to happen more. And I know this has to do with collaboration between all these zones, all these countries to make all this thing effective. So what the thing is, in terms of currency exchange within zones and countries,
Yeah.
I think this still needs to happen more.
Okay, so I would tie the issue around currency exchange to trade and how fintechs can actually upscale their operations with that. Now, the African Union at some point had talked about fintech harmonization under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, but it hasn't actually gotten that kind of regulatory alignment on the part of the handlers in Africa. Now, will that help, if Africa is able to get it right with AfCFTA, will that help improve the operations and accelerate adoption, that is adoption of fintechs now on the continent?
Yeah, harmonization is actually very, very important. And, it's in regards to what I mentioned earlier. Harmonization reduce, barriers to entry, cross-border transactions. It will create more integrated financial ecosystem. Because one thing about fintech is, technology actually work in an ecosystem. And one thing that it will help in terms of, this, what the African Union is talking about in terms of harmonization under the African Continental Free Trade, is the fact that it needs to help African country come together to create a good harmonization in terms of their financial exchange, whereby you are going into another country, as long as you have probably your mobile phone or you have your card, you don't have issues, start having to, withdraw physical cash, exchange the physical cash into the currency that that country has. It will give seamless transaction. And what this is going to do is going to bring in innovations. It's going to bring in investment. Venture capitalists are going to come into the business, because what is going to happen is you're going to have a seamless transaction where people don't have to think about, I'm going to this particular country, I'm doing an entry into a particular country. I would have to start hustling for cash. And we know how physical cash is going on these days. A lot of policy are coming to clap down on how people go out with physical cash. So if this kind of harmonization is done, it's really going to help a lot. It's going to help in terms of economy wise. It's going to help a lot in terms of exposure wise. It's going to help a lot in terms of investment wise, and it's going to help a lot in making people's life easy. You understand? With my, I don't even need to go out with my card, with my phone. I know I'm doing transaction anywhere in a particular African zone. So this is actually going to help if they can implement it.
We apologize for that audio glitch, but then we're glad to be back. Now, we have been looking at fintechs in Africa and what the challenges are, what the solutions are, and of course, the opportunities for growth. And yes, we've been talking to Olawale Bamidele, who is a digital tech innovator and of course, the founder of UX Thrive. Mr. Bamidele, thank you so much for your patience. So even as we wrap up now, I'd like you to just speak on the issue around data protection, consumer satisfaction, and the fact that people need to be sure that their transactions and their information is safe even as they embrace fintech operations.
Yeah, data protection this is actually a very big deal, not just in African space. Globally, data protection is a big deal. Nobody wants to joke with data. Even government bodies are not joking on people's data. The truth is, even though there are a lot of cyber attacks that keep happening and hackers trying to sabotage loopholes in the firewalls of these systems, the truth is, data protection is actually very important, and every financial body, every fintech, even every technology is doing everything to keep people data safe. If people data are safe, you understand. We know some regions, some countries in Africa may not have the right system to put in more security. But as the year goes by, as innovations continue to explore more, data protection will continue to be safe, and people's data is actually also going to be safe. So, you know, the people need to trust. People need to trust these bodies more. People to know, understand where the stage we are currently, and the stage we are going. So there might be some glitch, some attacks in the cyberspace sometimes. But the truth is, it will keep getting better, and people's data will continue to be safe.
Well, as at 2024, cyber attack increased by 34%. So just as you said, one will be hoping that the handlers within that subsector or space will be doing all they can to optimize their firewalls to ensure that, you know, information, data, transactions, money, everything is safe and good for those who might want to embrace it. Thank you so much. I'm Olawale Bamidele, digital tech innovator and founder of UX Thrive. It was nice talking to you on the show.
Thank you very much, Lekon. It's nice being here. Thank you very much. Do have a lovely day.
And you too.